So folks, within this video what we're going to do is first of all build a 2D tile map. Now what we're going to need is our lovely tile sheet that we had before, so I'm going to drag this and drop it into the Unreal Content Library. I'm going to just shake it a few times to make sure it comes up with the little arrow with the plus sign like so. Then what will happen is you should get your little tile world map. For us to really think about how we're going to build this, we're going to start thinking about folder structure, specifically in this case. And the first thing after we import this is going to be add a new folder and call this tile sheet, just like so, and then just drag and drop our folder into here. And we want to move this, not copy it, because copying it would leave this one in here and have another one in there. We want to fully move this. So when we go into tile sheet, what we're going to do is click onto the actual lovely sprite and just go to sprite actions and then apply paper 2D texture settings. The reason we're doing this is if we actually launch it, you notice that there's a load of hidden areas around here where we don't actually have any textures. So we're going to just make sure that this comes across here by clicking the apply to paper 2D texture setting button, just like so. Yep, so now we can see a lovely transparent level happening there. And then what we're going to do is go to sprite actions again by right clicking on it, then go to create tile set. Now what we should have is a little tile set for our lovely world map here. Now if you notice, what you can start doing is actually clicking on these to pick up the tiles. Now what we will notice is the first one, every row seems about right, but it's actually just slightly off by 1 pixel. If we go down 2 rows, you've noticed that it's actually 2 pixels off. So what we're going to do is just reset the tile size for this one. So you first of all have the actual tile size. So this one is actually 32 by 32, but if we wanted, we could drop it down to 16 by 16 for perhaps a smaller tile set, or of course expand it to 64 by 64 for a larger tile set. But in this case, 32 by 32 is perfect. Now, what we actually have between these is some tile spacing issues. So if we go into tile per tile spacing and just change this to 1 by 1, you'll notice that now, didn't commit the Y, there you go. Now we have our lovely tile set perfectly set up here. So any tile that I click on eventually will have the full tile within this rendering block here. Right, the first thing we might want to then consider is adding collision to very specific tiles. Now with collision you have some boxes up here which are quite useful. So if we click on, say, this wall and then add box, it will add a full collision volume to this box. Just to show this, if we click on the colliding tiles, there you go, it's fully set to this area. So we might want to do this for all of these. If we select all, you'll notice you cannot just select collision, you have to do it individually, which is quite a lot of fun. Then what we might want to do though is start thinking about something which has a more interesting use of collision. So perhaps these trees here, or maybe these trees here actually. So what we might want to choose to do is add a polygon. Then what it will do is actually let us draw the collision in like so, and eventually you need to just click to close. Now drawing the actual collision is quite difficult to get used to start off with, because normally you might think, let's just draw it like a nice box like this, and then all of a sudden you have some sort of crazy inverted collision going on. If we press escape, you can get rid of that. What you need to start thinking about is actually where is the final point that you want to draw your object to. Oh no. If you end up with an issue like this, what you can always do, of course, is draw it, accept it, and then move your vertices on here. If you need to scale down these vertices because they're too much for moving, you have these lovely snap grid positions that you can play around with as well. There you go. And that, folks, is how we create a basic tile sheet and then start adding some sprites for collision layers. In the next video we're going to play around with actually drawing out a layer and a level with different collision layers on. Cheers.